I can't protect you if I can't correct you.
We've got something to share. We're really proud of our product and are excited to make it available on our website. Check it out now. We've got something to share.
Yeah, got a little commercial out there now. Man, y'all go ahead hit that charm hour, you know what I'm saying, .com. Get y'all that shirt. Get that shirt. You know why? If I cannot correct you, I cannot protect you. Y'all head over to the charmhour.com. It's been getting some traffic, man. A lot of people like that shirt. They like the, you know what I'm saying, the saying. So we went ahead and decided to turn it into a shirt. Got some little promotional tools around this thing. You know what I'm talking about, man. Hey, we know y'all hungry. We know y'all want something. Y'all need something. Y'all need some nourishment. We ain't gave y'all that in a while. And we going to get to talk one of my favorite topics tonight. We going to talk the game. Y'all already know y'all tuned in to Boy Drew the Charm God. I got Grizzly Adams with me too. We probably finna act a little bit of a fool tonight. You know what I'm saying? Because we get to talk the game. We get to talk relationship dynamics. Waiting on that boy Rob to come in. So while we waiting on him, you know what I'm saying, we can kind of just catch up a little bit before we get into the topic. Hey, y'all need to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Y'all know why. Y'all already know why. Because we want the conversation to get all around to people like us so we can have real dialogue and we ain't gotta be up in here, you know, I guess tucking our tails when we have hard conversations. Because nowadays, hey, they gonna deport all the black people, man.
Hey, they still running with that narrative, huh? They still running with that one, huh?
Hey, man, they finna deport all the black people, dog. It's like at the end of the day, man, what Trump is done, he gonna make sure he deport all the black people. It's so funny the things that people be saying. Rob, man, hey, I just was talking about you. We got Rob J 10X in the building. Hold on, let me see. Let me unmute you, dog. Can you unmute yourself?
Oh yeah, my bad. I had myself.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad that you actually thought about that topic because I've actually been having some conversations on marriage as of late. So it's so ironic that you thought about bringing up, you know, is risk mitigating when you get married to somebody in your youth? Is it risky? Whatever the case may be. But before we get into that, I just want to tell all the black people out there, for foundational black Americans, I don't think you're getting detained by ICE. I mean, call me nuts, call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't think that you're gonna be detained by ICE. That's the latest. I seen a chick losing her mind on TikTok, crying to me, what about my baby? I'm like, hey, are you a citizen? I think you should be all right if you're a citizen.
I think in order for you to converse with a certain group of people right now, you have to like detach from common sense and reality, right? And when you hear black people saying about getting deported, it's just like, bro, like just please stop. It's like somebody scratching the chalkboard for me, bro. I'm like, I just can't do it, bro. I can't have these conversations no more.
Yeah, why were y'all having them in the first place? See, that told y'all in the text thread, y'all get some type of enjoyment from like, you know, debating idiots. Like I don't understand it. I mean, like, but everybody got their thing. Y'all ain't breaking no laws. Hey, man, you know, some people, you know, shoot pool, other people, you comment bang on Facebook, you know, whatever. But I don't, man, y'all better than me, man.
Hey Rob, you're a funny guy, man. You ought to like think about getting into comedy, maybe writing comedy, man. I read your comment when I said my daughter thinks that Yeba is a top 5 vocalist.
Thinks that who?
She thinks that Yeba is a top 5 vocalist.
Oh, I
Bro,
don't even
who
know who
is
that
that?
is. That wasn't my comment. I didn't say nothing about what your daughter thought.
Yeah, you was like, I think you said something about that's like a Cactus AA baseball team thinking they're World Series favorite.
Nah,
Nah. He was talking about that Houston post. You talking about Houston had the best rap culture. That's what he said that is.
Oh
yeah, that's what
damn!
I'm
Oh,
And
saying.
I
I
Yeah,
take it
agree
back.
with him.
I take it back. I take it back. I take it back.
yeah,
I'm not agreeing with you niggas on that, so I'm gonna take it back.
yeah.
I
No,
think that's
I don't
crazy.
play with nobody kids' opinions. Hey, man, kids got a right to think what they
That's
think.
crazy that you think that, man. But happy June 27th. We're gonna get into that later, man. I want to get.
We love the culture. We love June 27th. I love the screw culture, but we gotta be honest, Drew. We gotta be honest, Drew.
Yeah, yeah. My allegiance to the truth. Now
Hey,
it does have its own unique. There is something that is distinctly unique about Houston that
right.
you don't really find maybe necessarily other places. It's more of a blue collar approach to the industry, but it's not even really an industry. Like people in Houston really make music, but they're not really in the music industry. You can't really compare Houston to.
So I'm not necessarily talking about quantity and like stars. I'm when I talk about culture, I'm talking about influence. I'm talking about different types of artists and where they've been influential. There's not another city in America that has us celebrating a day outside of Christmas like a day like this. Like that, like we have made 2 holidays actually pretty popular, and these are Black American holidays, by the way. Juneteenth and June 27th. That's crazy. It's both in June. But just as far as when you look at this, I could get into this later because I got a whole idea and concept of why I say that. It's not like I'm just like, oh, I'm not just talking about Screw, and I'm not just talking about Beyonce. I have a reason for that, man. But um, I'm interested to know something. I'm interested in this debate and where you stand on the idea of, is marrying young, is it risky, or are you mitigating an issue, bigger issues by being with somebody of your youth? I'm kind of eager to know where that conversation went today, and I do have some opinions on the matter.
Man, hey, this funny, man. This all started. I was actually with my mother at a thrift store, and just older lady there was she was talking to her her girlfriend about her son, and she was like, "Yeah, and he talking about marriage. He just finished all that school, got that in second degree. Man, he need to be traveling. He need to be enjoying life." And there was this little kid. I'm not saying little kid, but we done got old now, so 20-year-old is a little kid or so. But he was a cashier, and he just kind of blurted out. He said, "Well, wouldn't starting a family with a woman you love be enjoying your life?" And we all kind of collectively kind of stopped in the store in real time because we realized that like we all kind of equated marriage with not enjoying life. So, what I'm saying? That really had me thinking now where I'm like, wait a minute, like we kind of socially have kind of painted marriage as unenjoyable, right? So, then the question comes up, and I was debating my cousin earlier today about the situation. Okay, let's say he's 26, 27, just finished grad school, has a girlfriend, 3, 4 years, wants to marry her. My cousin, man, that's too young. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, you don't even know what you're doing at that age. So I'm like, okay, what is he supposed to do in the meantime? Go to Dominican Republic and have an threesome? Sleep with 7 more women? Maybe get a maybe get a baby mom? So like, what is he supposed to be doing in the meantime while he has the woman that he loves who is in her youth? Like what? Like what? Oh man, but shoot, well shoot, man, you need to be getting his money on his own because you get your money connected with that. All it takes is one thing to go wrong, and shit, now his bread messed up. But again, what I've noticed is myself included because this apply to me as well. Anyone who doesn't grow up in a home where they see a man and woman in working in harmony and synergistically regularly see synergistic results where the sum of a man and a woman are greater than the two individual parts, it usually is going to have a hint of suspicion towards the opposite sex. See, the way that we grew up, really created because we haven't seen a harmonious synergy. So, a lot of times guys talk to women about marriage material, but it's like it apply to us too. I'm not marriage material. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, there's a lot of things, I probably am now, but there's a lot of things, a lot of unlearning I had to do because I haven't seen on a day-to-day level, what I'm saying, the institution, how it works. Now, juxtapose that with my two cousins, one's 8, one's 12 years younger than me. They've seen is the fruits of marriage. My favorite aunt is their mom. My backup dad is their dad. He's like a LeVar, but all he does is pour into them. So they've seen marriage lead to love, camaraderie, dinner, other married couples coming over, brotherhood, teamwork, joy. That the house is just full of activity. We've seen the power of manhood. We used to have this thing, I lived there my first year out of college. We had this thing called "My word is my bond," right? That's their dad's thing. So if anything you say "My word is my bond," it's like the 11th commandment. You lie on your word, your bond is a. One time, a little baby cousin, he was like 9. He said some word on his bond, but it looked like he was lying. No, I didn't say a word. I didn't. I said a word. He started crying because he thought he had violated his word. So we had made a mistake. So it's just different powerful lessons that they learn, right? So to them, of course, they went to college 4 years, graduated, got a girlfriend, got married. They're marriage material. So what I'm saying? Like I think me personally, like I said, this gonna get my FAMU alumni card revoked. If I had to do it again, hey man, I'd have went to Morehouse, pledged '06, married me a Delta from Spelman. And that would have been the simplest route because like now at this age, right? Now, okay, hey, I still want to have kids, right? So, hey, that means it's gonna be hard to have multiple kids with a woman my age. So now, look, probably maybe minimum 5, maybe 7, maybe 10 years younger. I gotta have my health a certain place because, hey, I want my kid. I'm gonna be an older father. I want my kids to at least live 40 years with a parent. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like, would you rather be courting a woman who's stressing out over finals and being online, or with courting a woman who's stressing out in therapy over a baby daddy? Like,
That boy cooking, man. That
Hey,
boy
boy, you hit
cooking.
the nail on the head, man. Go ahead, Grizz.
yeah, nah, man. So, to me, I think marriage was designed for the woman of your youth. Now, obviously, you gotta make the best of the situation, but I would never tell a young person, I've talked to this young sister who's a nurse, had a good boy. Her boyfriend was SGA, honor student, just got in grad school. I'm like, what y'all talking about? Marriage? Oh, no, I got plenty of time. Like, who keeps telling you that lie? This is like your prime. This is your big contract. Your second like a woman coming out of college. That's like a athlete who just got out his rookie deal. This is your big contract. You don't have plenty of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and even if we look at like Travis Hunter, for all the people say about Travis Hunter and his wife or whatever, if it was your son, would you rather your son just went number 2 in the draft, be just married, in love with whatever, even if you're a little goofy, a little green, would you rather your son that or your son Rick James out here gunning them down 10 at a time and he just got a couple million? I'd rather my son be Travis Hunter. Would you rather your daughter, your 24-year-old daughter be engaged with a guy, be doing that, or your 23-year-old daughter who make $48,000 talking about she going to Dubai for a weekend? And you like, man, how that math work?
Well, one of the things that we've done is we have made living life or freedom of life. We're really talking about being irresponsible. So we believe that things that I do that have some risk to it or that is somewhat irresponsible, I'm having the experience because what matters is the experience and what matters is the moment. And we're afraid to tell people to look for the long term. And when you're growing up in a household where you see what you just said, man and woman working together, uh, creating a family, creating the life for the children that they want to see. They're gonna aspire to want to have that. And that's where you're gonna learn that from. That's where you should get it. The truth is the majority of us just hadn't seen that. So like you say, you have this, you're apprehensive when you're dealing with the opposite sex. You really are. You don't really learn. I was talking to a friend of mine, I was telling her this today actually. I said that the truth is, not only do women not know how to deal with masculine energy, men really for the most part don't know how to deal with masculine or feminine energy. Men don't know how to operate in a space on what they should be doing as leaders, because often many, the black community has the cultural aspect, and then we have the overall gender aspect that connects us all. So it's multi-layered. Not only are we dealing with like gender issues, but we also have that cultural aspect of positioning when it comes to men and women. So you hit the nail on the head. But I think it's also not just for, this isn't exclusive to black people. I think a lot of Western culture is, hey, like when you're in your prom, have sex at your prom. Like that's, the prom night, you can not be a virgin anymore. Are you still a virgin before marriage? Like a lot of the ideology that we have is very dangerous. It's dangerous for our community. It's just what it is. But we learn this when you get older. Um, I'm gonna say this too. I got married young. I got married to the woman of my youth. And I think that what marriage does to you when you do get married young, it gives you structure because you have responsibility. I think that's why often young people don't see it, or most people don't see it as being fun, because typically in your youth, you don't want a lot of responsibility. You want to live a carefree life. But I just said young adult. So as an adult, you make choices. You still may have to pay for them. You are a product of the choices that you have made. So, when I got married, I was kind of like detoured. People were negative. Oh, you getting married way too young, or what if? It was a lot of what if speech, and there wasn't enough. Hey, yes, y'all need to do this. Yes, we're gonna get around y'all and support this. Yes, we're gonna pour into you and tell you all the things that you should do, because outside of, I have my family. I came from a two-parent household, but there was still some pushback on my father's end. My ex-wife, her parents were divorced, and there were just a bunch of naysayers around. So you hit the nail on the head. I think we have to. It's, what are you encouraging? What are you installing in that young man or that young woman? What have you showed them over time to let them see that marriage is a good thing? There's benefit to being married. That's fun. It's fun being with your family and taking trips and all of that. It's fun.
Yeah. Hey, that's another part that keeps getting left out. People act like married people don't travel. I got a niece, she really my cousin once removed, but we black, so she my niece. But hey, she's not even two. She been in like 4 countries. My cousin travels with his wife and kids. They didn't stop traveling when they got married. Like this, like plenty of married people travel. Like, so is the desire like
Yeah,
is the
I
desire to
think
travel?
I think sorry not to cut you off, bro,
Go
but
ahead.
I think I think what marriage does for you is marriage is like the ultimate account. Your partner is the ultimate accountability. I think that terrifies people because being in a relationship in its own, it's like always having a mirror held on to you. I got married young too. I got married at 21, and it grew me up. You feel what I'm saying? It grew me up. It gave me structure. It gave me my own structure. You feel me? And a lot of times, I think a lot of times when it comes to people being afraid of it, I just think that people are a bit terrified of always having that accountability partner in your ear and in your face. I think if we talk about getting married young, you're right. You said, "Will you want your son out here?" We know for a fact that a woman at 24 is better than that same woman probably at 34 because she's going to go through things with men, several things with men that's gonna make her worse. Like that's not even to me. That's not even a question. She for a woman, it's great to get married young. For a man, it's great to get married young because we pick up patterns. You get to a certain age, and you got a pattern. You got a pattern of maybe not being held accountable as a man. We don't have to talk about men not taking accountability but sometimes men don't. I think Drew said something very interesting when he said men don't understand that masculinity. They don't, because you have to understand they weren't raised in two-parent households a lot of times, or they didn't have that uncle or that older cousin or uncle that loved them that would straighten them out. If you, I know single parents like my aunt used to call my daddy for my cousins, and like my daddy go over there and fight them, like literally, and like, hey, don't make me come back over here. You gotta have that, so they don't understand that. And I think the aspect of our culture, it's like a setup. It's like a slow kid. Oh, they shouldn't get married young, bro. Nobody else is telling their kids this but us. You think Mexicans telling their kids this? No, bro. Go get married at 19, fresh out of high school. That's what they telling their kids. Go build that house, build that family, and by the time you 30, this life is culture. Black people, the teenagers of this world, spoken by a great poet named Nasir. We are the teenagers, so we wait and we got to do everything. We got to fuck up. We got to put our hand on the stove several times, and then we got to get it right at 37, 38, 39. Now, that 19-year-old kid you had back in when you was 20, 21, he never seen that. So now he gonna rinse and repeat this fucking cycle. So of course I believe getting married young is the way. I got married young. Yeah, I was there married for 13, with the person for 15, it didn't work. But ultimately my kids got to see me with their mother living a life of structure, and they see it again now. I think that's what's best for the community overall. I just do. I think the more we experience, the more humans we experience, especially on the romantic side, the worse off we get. The worse the worse off we get. I think that's kind of rigged at this point.
Man, I think when I look at it, just my development, who knows if it would have worked. You know, it may not have worked. I may have winded up divorced, co-parenting a kid. I still think I would have been better off for it. Like even if it didn't work, well, I still think it's possible I could have been better off for it. I'm not gonna say just like that, absolute. I think um I think our generation has made a crucial overvaluation of time and availability. Time is valuable. There's certain things that I wouldn't have been able to do had I not had a certain amount of time. So like I don't think I would have been able to learn how to code if I wasn't able to come home and spend like 7 to midnight in front of the computer. But there's a certain point that you get to where the marginal benefit of time available, it stops really being um, that beneficial, because most people aren't good enough time managers to effectively use an abundance of time to do anything remotely, symbolic of a person who wisely uses a bunch of time anyway. It's like the same thing with thinking. Like most people aren't good enough at thinking to make a situation better by just excessively thinking about it. So it's like this idea of time, and to be on the flip side too, a lot of times constraints add productivity. Like a lot of times the constraint. That's why, like to me personally, would be advising young people like, before you a full time entrepreneur, man, be a 6 to 9 entrepreneur. Be an entrepreneur for 3 hours a day. Like master that, before you want to, jump out of plane, because a lot of people can't, you take away circadian rhythm and you take away a manager and you take away, you know, um, clear, enforceable, punishment or effects for them slipping, and a lot of people will drown. Because when it's just you don't realize you're drowning until you at the bottom of the ocean. So it's like this idea that we need so much time available, and this idea that a partner is a threat to that. Like it's something that really switched, and I think it's really because of like our dysfunctional nature. Because it seems like the previous generation viewed the marriage as a partnership. I remember when I was selling insurance, Charles and Laquita. Charles and Laquita. Charles ran the insurance, okay, and I think his wife was a teacher. But when he was first getting up and going, Charles Prince, he was the type of guy that probably tried about 5 different things. He probably tried Amway, prepaid, legal, this that until he found this thing with insurance. Well, during that time, he's proudly tell a story about his wife. His wife holding it down. She was a teacher. There was a more of a partnership mentality. Now, the marriage the idea of marriage, it almost is more like a a free agent athlete that is trying to sign for like the best, okay, well, I'm not going to take, 52 because Dak got 60. So I need at least, it's almost like there's a negotiation versus a mentality of like partnership. And I think my only hypothesis is the dysfunctional nature that we grew up in. Because, in my definition of dysfunction is any household that does not have a harmonious display of synergy between any household that doesn't display a loving, harmonious, and synergistic relationship between a man and a woman. That's dysfunctional. Because, by definition, just if you look at the word, dysfunction, the definition of it is pretty clear. I mean, dysfunction is basically, I'm looking it up just on the spot, just so we can keep it scholarly. But the meaning of dysfunction is impaired or abnormal functioning. In abnormal so if we look at, that's an abnormal function to raise a child. We already, what do they say? It takes a village to raise a child. No one ever said it takes one person. So the dysfunction that comes is if you don't see a harmonious experience between man and woman, it's going to skew the way that you view man or you view woman. If you've never had a man just tell you, you sit around, hey man, move out the way, man. Yeah, hey man, get out of here, man. I don't feel like talking. You've never had a man just who's presiding over something tell you something in a quick manner. Well, then whenever a guy says something, man, I don't like the way he sounded when he said that, when he talked to me like that. Because you haven't been in amongst men enough to like realize that, like, okay, he just was saying that to not sweat the small stuff. Because you've grown up devoid of exposure to masculine men. One thing I love about my cousin, man, in our relationship is even though we're like a month apart, and like intelligent wise, I don't see myself as like smarter than my cousin. I just see we just grew up differently. So it's almost like sometimes seeing a reflection of me from a different background. But one thing about me, and we're extremely honest with each other. And he told me, he said, man, I cannot have a man over me. I can't work a job where a man is like over me. Like I always get into it. He said that straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that have happened in our upbringing that I don't think we really pay enough attention to. Even in my own life, like, I really, I could say like I've experienced both of my parents. They both were loving and both things like that, but I've only experienced them in isolation. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of creates a little bit of like, because you only experience each of them in the full extreme. So if I'm experiencing my dad, now people always talk about, hey, when a kid grows up in a house and it's just a mom and all of the problems with that, it's problems when you're in a house and it's just a dad too. Because like when it's just a dad, there's nothing stopping him from going in all out drill sergeant mode. Now a healthy and harmonious, synergistic home of man and woman loving each other, valuing each other, and being more together than they are as individuals, like my aunt and uncle in Atlanta that raised my cousins that all graduated and got married. Well, they're seeing the benefit of that. They're seeing harmony, so they're seeing the fruits of it.
Hey, let me throw this out there. Can you hear me? Because I'm in the car, man.
Yeah,
I got, speaking of being a family man, I'm going to pick up my daughter from rehearsal at church. But anyways, but y'all can hear me okay?
yeah.
Okay. So that's why I was saying that the Cosby Show presents exactly what you just said in the best manner. And when I watched that show as a 40-year-old man, I see that, and I couldn't see it as a kid because I hadn't gotten through all those steps of a manhood and having those different age groups of children. And so when you really see the Cosby Show, you see Bill is still the masculine man. He's over the family. He has points where he can be very hard, but Claire offsets that at times with her softness. Women come
Hmm.
in and soften the situation. And what it does is it brings in the loving part of the discipline. Plus, how she eases the man is she was a pretty lady. She was very physical with him. It's a job. See, everybody got a job in the family. And when you look at the Cosby Show, it really does present that. Now, let's look at the paternal side and the maternal side. They had their parents. They had
Are you still there? I can't hear you.
women of Bill's youth. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you
Can you
now.
hear me now? Okay, Claire was a woman of Bill's youth, like you said. Okay, about the she was a part of that, of his youth. He knew her growing up. So everything you just said is important. And the cultural install for what we're talking about was there. That's why I say that is the best example black television had. And the reason why we kind of went against it is because many just didn't have that portion. It wasn't just because, he was a doctor and she was a lawyer. It was just the way that their family ran. So everything that you said, I feel is very accurate. Dysfunctional. How does it function? Okay, even if you have the man and the woman in the house, okay, they're husband and wife, or how indeed do they function? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. Like, and it's one of those things where it gets tricky because it's like, we're a matriarchal society. And, at the end of the day, I will give Rob Gillette credit on this, because I used to ask him, I said, man, how come, you know, the mama get to be a crack fiend, and even though she was a black queen, but the dad is just, hey, just hey, he wasn't no love for them. Why the dad can't have empathy? And he said, because your mama fed you every day. Feeding someone a lot every day is a big deal. So I was like, damn, that actually kind of makes sense. So I think like there's a
Nah, that's true.
yeah, so I think there's, and then so on one end, it almost feels like and to be honest, the way gaslighting sometimes works, and then just the stark contrast between like the baby boomers ideology versus ours, it can come off as like you being ungrateful if like you just look at a situation and realize, oh, okay, there was some miseducation that I went through. Like, doesn't mean that people didn't do their best, doesn't mean I don't love and appreciate that, but it also means like I got to do some unlearning. Like, but it's almost blasphemous in our community to, feel that way. And it's like, but you can love an imperfect person. I'm an imperfect son. You know what I'm saying? So I think, but it's like I think there is a to thyself be true that we have to like
Hey,
go back and
can you hear
address.
me?
Yeah. Now I can. I didn't hear nothing.
Okay, I'm a,
Uh,
I'm a, I'm gonna say this too though. At the same time, America had slaves at one time, but now it's the freest country in the world. So you can be a mixture of villain and hero. Yes, she fed you every day, but she also set bad examples. I'm pretty sure she was a black queen for the things she taught you, but she still had, maybe different men out in and out the house. It's not to make her. She's not overall an evil person. She's human, and I think the same way that we extend that humanistic view to women, we have to extend that to men too. Men aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect, you know. But the hard part is that men have to rise to the occasion. You really have to, rise above the occasion. With the equipment that you need to run your life, to protect and run a family is very difficult. And that's where men need to be. We have to have that human perspective of men too, because that's hard. That's very hard, so that's true. Yeah, many mothers, hey, listen, even if you're a good father, you still, recognition is still pretty kind of difficult. You know what I'm saying? You have to be okay with you definitely have to be okay with, having a thankless job, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and it's like and one of the great things, man, I think Pastor August said at Mother's Day service at the church house, which I really received. He said, it's not your job to judge your mother, right? Because it's like, it, my mother really isn't even necessarily a human being, to me. It's almost like I could never really I mean, the person carries you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like you can't really, and it's just not a good journey to go down anyway, because like, man, like, so it's not really, it's not really something that, and I don't think it really requires like a critical analyzation of what they did or didn't do. I think the analyzing has to be with, okay, what do I need to unlearn? That's the part. And I think there's a lot of people, and we like the crazy thing about our community is it's like I never like it's amazing how loyal we can be to things that are not working. I mean, it's like a team going 0-16, but saying, "Hey, we're not trading nobody. We're gonna run it back, like for 200 years straight." Like it just so
Yeah,
it's like
nah, you're right.
and that's the part that's strange to me sometimes is like in the arrogance of I talk to women that are just like, I mean, no, not all of them, because some of them are like very humble. Some of them, I feel like a lot of empathy too, man. One of my homegirls, she's super successful. I mean, she might be the most successful woman, I know. And she was telling me about a situation with a guy, and I was just like, no, like, like you're brilliant, like you're beautiful, like you deserve a man to adore you. And she's like, I've never been adored, and that's shocking to hear. Now, granted, she is one of those like I guess C-suite executives, but it was shocking for me to hear that. But then on the flip side, it'll be like I was talking to one yesterday, and she's telling me about, I hate this is my new red flag. Even if a chick even play like this, I'd be like, man, all right, I'll holler back. Oh, I'm just waiting for a rich husband to tell me I don't have to work again. That, when a woman say that, that just turns me off, man, because it's like it's not even fueled by like, man, you know what? I would love to be in a situation where my husband worked and I just took care of the family or something like that. Or I would love to be in a situation where I can nurse my kid and be with him every day. They don't even want to do anything with the abundance of time. They just don't want to
Right,
work.
right.
And like, and that's so crazy. And I was like, so I told her, I said, well, hey, look, you know what? If that's what you want, if that's what you want, a rich husband, you don't want to have to work, then all right, well, look, get your tits done, get in the best shape of your life. You're not a college grad, so you can't be an AKA Delta. So go be an Eastern Star. You're gonna need to join some new social clubs. You're gonna need to hang with like because you don't move in a circle or you don't have like live a lifestyle where you're exposed to men like that. You're probably gonna be looking at older men. You're late 30s, 40s. So a guy that's gonna want to not work, you're probably looking at a 56-year-old man. Or you probably should be open to more than one race. I don't have to. I attract men of wealth and this, that, and the other. I said, yeah, you attract. But I thought we were talking about a man who was going to take a covenant before the Lord to love you for richer or poorer, had the financial means and the desire for you not to work. So we talking about that, or we talking about attraction? Okay, because you don't obviously attract that don't mean nothing. Like I mean men by nature, if men see a woman, a guy could be at a gas station, a woman walk by, he with his homeboy in the car, man, that bitch fine as hell. It didn't mean nothing. Like attraction means nothing. So
Well, they like to self-report a lot too. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like they have this, they grade themselves. They do that self-reporting credit shit. If it was up to women, they'd all have 800 credit scores. And that's just the crazy thing about them is that um, they think highly of. I put it to you like this: if she's wife material, she'd be married.
man.
If she's truly wife material, she'd be married. So what's the problem? Why aren't you married?
No, that's I mean, and that's like that's the part too where it's like, it's I never have heard so many people be like so many experts on something that they've not done successfully. Like I mean, it's amazing. Like I mean, it is
and that's
like
and that's typically the case with them. It's like they have so much, and that's why therapy is like their go-to. They talk about therapy a lot. Oh, have you gone to therapy? They whip out the therapy piece, but it's like, yeah, but what is the use of going to therapy if you're not actually healing from anything, like you said?
yeah, nah, man, like that's you're right, man. Like you definitely right. Like you know, and I mean, and then it's like. it's like it's one thing to not have it or whatever. Okay, okay, cool. I want this, everything, but I just haven't figured it out yet. It's another thing to not have it and be defiant, to be a know-it-all with no results. Like that part is like, it's really really strange, and that's the danger. That's the danger of a gullible woman today, because the internet and the media and everything, they have no problem blowing smoke up, our sister's ass. And, in order, and it probably is very challenging as a woman today to really, because you have to be able to like, I mean, like, imagine if like we was like out, right? And, you know, we, let's just say hypothetically, like women had this like sixth sense, like almost like animals. They could smell like when we were about to get a promotion, something good about to happen, which they kind of can. So we were out, and all day women looking at us, and they all kind of saying the same thing, and we don't know that, like, oh yeah, they know that you about to hit the lottery next. Like they all had an ulterior, but they all looked the same, they all kind of said the same. And then everywhere we went, people were just telling us how great we are, whatever. Then it's like you would have to be such a discerned and not easily moved person, to where like you can filter out even compliments, and that's what a lot of them can't do. A lot of them cannot filter out someone telling them what they want to hear, and that's really kind of dangerous, because it doesn't cost anything to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah, you're amazing. You're the most this. You're the most that. Like I said, like and I'm not saying that like I love black women. I want to marry a black woman. I want to have black kids. But like what the media does and the way things are now, black women are pawns that are told they're queens. It's imagine on the chessboard. It's another pawn, but someone keeps telling you you're a queen. Can't do nothing a queen can do though. It can't move diagonal. It can't go straight this way. It can't move now. It can move one space forward, just like all the pawn. Only thing is, people tell it it's a queen all day, and they believe it. And that's really,
And it's also another thing to where it's kind of like it's not their fault. Nothing is their fault, and they bear no responsibility on any mate that they may be with. So it's kind of like, I think that's another perception that we have too, is uh they're not flawed. they're
yeah,
they're not flawed, or they're just growing. So you're absolutely correct. It's kind of a weird space when they are somehow the experts on what needs to be happening in these commitments and in these marriages. However, um, they've never been in one. Most of them never, or it hasn't lasted. You ask a lot of these women, um, what's the longest relationship they've been in? I mean, if you get anything over 8 years, you'd be lucky.
yeah,
So, you know, um, I believe again. I've been trying to get into this series, man. I hope I can get into it very soon. There's been so much going on, so many different topics. I think this is the confirmation that we just need to go ahead and do it here on this channel. We've been Miss T trying to get Miss T to help me put the curriculum together for it, but we just need to talk about how do we culturally prepare the next generation for what we're talking about, and what does that look like? What examples have we had? Where are we to search for these examples at? You know what I'm saying? Because you hit the nail on the head, dog. It's like it has to be exemplified. Now I'll say this too. I had my parents had a lot of dysfunction, so there was good to see my parents together. Like that's where I got the yearning for marriage and seeing it operate. I saw it in my family operate quite a bit, but I think there were still some parts that could have been a lot more healthier that necessarily were not.
yeah, most definitely. Hey,
Yeah.
and look, to be fair, some of that stuff ain't their fault. I mean, there are women out here that honestly have been messed over. Like, what I'm saying? It's been foul shit on both sides. So, but it's like your fault or not. You know what I'm saying? Like your recovery and your what you do from there is your responsibility. It's nothing wrong with being, hurt or whatever, broken, whatever. But I think the where it becomes an issue is when you know this, and you don't act on it, and then like, okay, now it's like, okay, you just you basically just are lollygagging at that point. At that point, so yeah, there may be some validity in certain parts of it, but it's like, at the end of the day, when do you like say, okay, I'm not happy with whatever the result is. I need to make some changes, and like that's on me. And that's the one thing that, like, a lot of sisters are able to go a long time without having to face that, and it's like that's really dangerous. That's like really, really dangerous to never have to like that's the one thing I appreciate about being a man. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it used to bother me. Like, uh, man, man, shit, we got to do that, man. I used to resent certain things that we had to do in contrast to women. But now, man, I appreciate, like, being held to a higher standard is a privilege. That's what an all-star is. Somebody who's held to a higher standard. That's what a Rhodes Scholar is. That's what uh you know a Dean's List student is. Someone who's held to a higher standard. So it's a privilege to be held to a higher standard.
You actually, I was inspired to say this because of you. And I talked about, I think we talked about it one show, is morally, who's morally superior? Who is the who, women really just, we have to, that's okay too, by the way. It's okay that they're not morally superior. It's okay that they may not act in the best morality all the time. That's for us to do. That's for us as men to be attempting to achieve that. We should be doing that, especially if you want to be a leader. You want to lead the way. You want to be the protector. You want to be the person that sets the example. You have to, more often time more often more often than not, you're going to be operating in a morally superior space than she is.
I don't know about that one, because I mean, it's some righteous, it's some righteous women out here, man, that could, pray a nigga off of death row. But it's just, you know, we don't. That part isn't celebrated anymore. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that Tabitha, what's her name, Tabitha White husband is more morally superior to her. I don't think it's a moral. I don't think it's a moral superior or less superior thing. I just think it's a like
You mean
it's a like
Tabitha
know your
Brown? That
role.
nigga said Tabitha White.
What's her name? Tabitha Brown.
Tabitha Brown, yeah.
Oh damn, my bad. Hey, that's my Uncle Ruckus moment, man. But uh, yeah, but like, man, I don't see. I don't, and that's another thing. I even think that whole desiring to be better is kind of weird, man. Like, to me, this would be the perfect answer. Like, and I never have heard this answer. Um, you know, who's um who's the prize, right? I would think, right, in a perfect relationship, that wouldn't even a healthy couple wouldn't even answer that. What you mean? Who's the prize? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or
Well, I like the way Simple the P put it. She's a gift. Let's get that understood. She's a gift, but she's not the
yeah,
recipient of the gift. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a. I think a lot of times we challenge value. I don't think it's a matter of value. I think both people bring value, but they don't have sameness. So the man brings a level of value that the woman doesn't bring, but it's not the same. We got to just start accepting that. We only articulate things in terms of what's better and not better. And so when we do that, we kind of pull away from the cooperation. Okay, well, you're the prize, so you matter more. Well, no, I mean, it's kind of like this. If you have a water faucet and a water hose, you turn on the water faucet outside the house, the water goes straight down. It's the source, but it can't go nowhere without the water hose. If the water hose ain't hooked up, it ain't got nothing to carry. But it don't mean that both these components aren't valuable. They're valuable in their own right, but when you put them together, it become powerful because now we can irrigate, we can plant, we can do different things. We got to start looking at it like that. Men sometimes we say, well, hey, we're the source, so we're better. You can turn me on in this water. Yeah, but if you ain't got no water hose over there, buddy, that water ain't going nowhere. it'd be harder to irrigate that water. But we hook up a water hose and we can go. It's the water hose is the multiplier. Women the multiplier. They can carry what you are the source of very far. So they're complementary pieces, but we gotta respect what each piece is. We gotta respect the hose for what the hose is. The hose need protection. The hose can't get holes in it because if that water hose gets some little small holes in it and we get water leakage, then it doesn't do us any good to have that water hose. So we got to protect that water hose or patch it up. Same thing for that source. We can't leave that source on too much. Water bill gonna go up. You know what I'm saying? Or we got to
Yeah,
figure out how to use and save. I'm just saying we got to start looking at each other more as like complementary pieces and respecting the individualism, the individual aspects of each value that we both bring to the table, and that helps us define roles better too.
I feel that part. The only thing, man, I kind of caution with the pimping. I mean, the ism is great as far as philosophy, as far as just at the end of the day, because they they show up they show up as a man every day, and within the confines and the code that they operate within. The part where the pimping really is you know still has to be kind of factored in is you know you're still engaging in domination and manipulation. I'm yet to hear of a pimp put his daughter on the strip. You know what I'm saying? So you still are imposing your will on someone that in a way that is 100%. Well, I can say 100% for your game. I mean, I think Andre Taylor talks about loving his hoe, but for the most part, especially the way it's done today, it's a practice of dominance. I'm not necessarily out to dominate my woman. I look at it. I ain't never heard my grandfather yell. And I loud as I heard him talk is this. He got mad at me one time because I said if I won $1 million, I started talking about everything I would buy. I'm gonna get a car, I'm gonna get this, and then he was reading news. He slammed the paper. I said, "And you didn't say anything about your family." And I cried like a fucking little. I cried like he just beat the shit out of me just to anger him. Because he loved me so correctly that just to anger him was heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? So that was really what it was. As far as so I don't know. I kind of you know it
Conceptually speaking, that has nothing to do with pimping because it's not actually talking about the game. So the reason why I brought that up, okay, let's get away from that and just talk about God. Again, I'm gonna always go to the Adam and Eve tale, and we can argue this. It's really not up for debate, but God goes to the man first. So who is he holding accountable and why? We have to ask these questions. He yes, he still punished her, but he didn't put the accountability on Eve. He put the accountability on Adam to tend the garden. Well, why? He must have created him to be able to do such. He must have created him in such a way that he could go to him and expect more out of him than he had to expect out of her. So what does that really mean at the end of the day? So I think when you start talking about, okay, she's the gift, because she is the gift, but she's not
yeah
the recipient of the gift. I think that's kind of a lot more aligned with that too, because you got to look at it with Adam. He was the recipient of the gift, and he also had the accountability. He also had to make a place safe for her to flourish. See what I'm saying? He had to make sure that she was in a space where she was, she could be a benefit, where she could benefit and help him bring forth whatever he was going to bring forth. He was supposed to protect her. He's supposed to guide her with information, knowledge, whatever the case may be. He can't be led astray. He can't. He can't afford that because he has to be able to provide in such a way for her that she doesn't have to worry about being led astray. He's supposed to intercept information. There's a lot of things that he has to do. So I think in turn, like I say, that ain't really got nothing to do with the game. I think pimps have a way of explaining the gender dynamics in a cool way. That's
yeah
just
they
all it
do.
is.
It's kind
But
of
go
and
ahead.
I don't want to necessarily question anybody's faith. I think a lot is put on the story of Adam and Eve. Because like okay, if you're just a human, you're just a man in the flesh, and you're a father of boys and girls, and you as a man in the flesh love with all your heart both of them, though you see, though you may have different desires and everything for them, but you know, my assumption is you don't teach your sons to govern over your daughters. You probably teach your sons to be, the best type of men, and teach your daughters to be the best type of woman. So if you can do that as a man in the flesh, I just don't see a God that, doesn't. Now I'm not saying that we're equal in, I think we're equal in importance, but I'm not with the whole a woman can do what a man, because a man, there's things a man, the woman can do that a man can't do.
Hey,
Have a
women don't
baby.
make good decisions, man. And it's coming from, listen, I'm gonna say this. It's not saying that she's incapable, but women don't typically overall make good decisions. And this is coming from a man who has, had to govern a woman, govern a family for so long, and be around other women. They're very indecisive. They need somebody to help them make decisions. Why can't we say that? I feel like a lot of time, I think the issue that we make as a society, especially as men, is bestowing
A certain responsibility. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, we bestow a certain responsibility on women that they just not supposed to have, and then we try to rationalize it and say, well, hey, they should be able to, they can, but this hasn't proved to be right. It doesn't, it does, like, going back to what you said about why are we loyal to things that don't work. That's one of the things that I think we're loyal to, is this idea and concept of the independent woman. The independent woman can make decisions, and like I told you, I question if women have real autonomy, and I think it's a reason for that. So that's why I reference us. If we go see another thing, not to go back, I don't want to get into like a religious debate. I don't
Yeah,
want to
no,
do
no,
that.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't
But
debate religion.
one of the things I think we suffer with is we pick apart the Bible. So anything that we feel like makes us feel comfortable, we'll rock with that. But things that make us feel uncomfortable, we try to kind of like go in a different direction. And it's like, well, I think the Bible's pretty consistent. So if it's consistent over here in this, why isn't it consistent in gender dynamics? It's pretty consistent in gender dynamics if you take a look. But we'll say, oh well, we think that's when the Bible's being misogynist. But if it's hopeful and it's positive, well, we'll take that part because that makes us feel comfortable. So which is it? Is it completely in truth, or is it partially true? Then if it's partially true, we got another problem on our hands. That means that there could potentially be some lies in there. And if that's the case, why do we reference it for morality? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just
Yeah,
saying, as far as the gender dynamics go, for me, I don't think it's explicitly saying women are dumb, or women are terrible. It's not saying that. It's not promoting that at all. In fact, it gives us roles and responsibilities as men and women. But I think what it's really saying is God created us to operate a certain way for a reason. He created a flow. He created a flow chart, and the way things flow in a direction is made in such a way that it's going to flow that way, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. That's just how it is. And oftentimes, as men, what we do is we will defer leadership. We'll defer leadership. We'll defer decision making. We defer pressure to women that they really can't handle, and then we wonder why they respond to us in the manner in which they do. you
yeah,
know we do that often. And so if you're thinking of her, if you're looking at her as equal in that regard, that's where we kind of miss this. And we're looking at her as equal in that regard. I think that sometimes, often more than not, that's a bigger mistake for us. That's the mistake we have, because we want them to be the, well, she can decide for herself. Well, I mean, nah, I ain't got to go to the Adam and Eve story. I can just look at real life. They really can't. A lot of times they are poor decision make. Or if you put good information in her, and she can kind of say, oh, that makes sense, and she sees a good result, you create a disciple in her, and she'll like, okay, and you prove to be a good leader if you're giving her good advice with good results. Now often, if you make a mistake, and she might not trust you as much if it's a bad decision. And they're intuitive, so a lot of things they feel, they like, but they don't know, like, this feels bad, but let me call my homegirl, or let me see, so if you're a man that's confirming, yeah, hey, why are you talking to him? Oh, he just wasting your time. I'm telling you, he's just wasting your time. Such and such. Well, how you know?
yeah.
Because when a man does this, he da, 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 da. Oh, you right. That's
But
how
it
that's
feels
how
like
that, that's how it
everything,
be.
like your view. and my view, it requires dysfunction to get to that place. You know, I mean, because the reality is, when it comes to this world, and when it comes to women, I mean, we we are like the equivalent, just speaking globally, of like some some brothers from Houston that have never left South Park or Sunnyside. That's about how much of the world we really experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it take, like, even I got some views that ain't necessarily that that highly. You know, it takes a level of dysfunction to get to the point to get to some of these places. Now, if you would have just, just hypothetically speaking, like, let's say, you know, you know, you had this woman, and she was so appreciative of the sacrifices that you made, that when you decided you wanted to do music, she said, well, hey, look, all it really takes, for us to run the house and feed the kids is really this amount, and then retirement, so we just have a future. But I'm gonna trust you with the rest of it. And every time she got a $5,000 check, she gave you 1,500, and she did that for 10 years straight. And you seen, uh and you seen, you seen her, what I'm saying, when nobody was there. And every time you did a show, shit, she was the greatest street team member you ever seen in your life. You know what I'm saying? And shit, like, and this woman existed and embodied, what I'm saying, what it meant to be a helpmate. Like that woman that time when we wasn't seeing things, in alignment with how Tracy saw it. Like the woman who made the man's bag and stuff, even when he's going out. Your view of women, and let's say your parents, what I'm saying, situation was like, hey, your dad came home, he sat the check on on the dresser, and the house was always flourishing with smells of foods and stuff. And when a neighbor moved into to next door, there was a cake on the way. And you said, and let's say, you didn't listen to Screw when you was riding to school with your friend. You was listening, I got sunshine on a cloudy day, instead of bitches ain't shit but hoes and trick. You wouldn't think that way. Like dysfunction got us here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen my parents actually sit down together and make a decision in unison. And these are the two people that love you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
and
mean,
one
but I
person,
don't. I think some of that ain't all dysfunction. Cause like even if you look at, okay, when you say okay, let's get out of our culture. I mean, you kind of see white people interact that way. You see a lot of different cultures interact in that flow like that. That necessarily don't have, you know, uh, that don't have that level of dysfunction. You're going to find men doing it, and women. I think it's healthy to see women be cooperable. I think it's healthy to see a woman that trusts her man or do what you just
yeah,
said. If you've seen that, so that's what I mean. I don't look at it as a bad thing. By the way, you know what I'm saying?
yeah. But I think, like, I think in that scenario, like, cause hey, that shit. If I just go off of the case study of, women I've encountered, I really can't necessarily dispute, what I'm saying, your hypothesis. But at the same time, like, it's like, that's based on the experiences, that's based on the experiences that have been, had. And honestly, that it really, if you really want to find a culprit, in my opinion, it's the culture. I told Ronnie something today. Actually, you know what? I told Ronnie, and I told my childhood friend, Doug Franklin, man. He a ON like me, original nerd, man. Saying he really kicked me. I became a hardcore nerd because I went to Doug house. His parents, our parents was like made the honors and stuff in each other's wedding. Man, anyway, I went to Doug house and I was like 5. We was playing Contra. He knew the Konami code. That was the first time somebody knew something I didn't know. That a nerd was born on the spot, man. So but I was telling Ronnie this today when he was talking about music. I said, Ronnie, man, we got it backwards, man. You actually is the most gangster. You more gangster than than any rapper out, man. It ain't nothing more gangster than having a dad who's a man of integrity, and a mother who's virtuous. It ain't nothing more gangster than that. I was told the same thing to my buddy Doug. His dad and mom, and he's got 3 brothers. I said, all you do is be affirmed All you do is be affirmed by a man every day. That's you tougher than the streets. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay, you may have some guys that can handle violence in a certain type of way, but even that's basic because let some SEAL Team Six or some people that's really trained in violence come around. It's not that you're good at violence. It's just that you're willing to crash out at a higher level. The most gangster thing you could be is a man. And we're just so ass backwards because if you put like if you took a classroom of white kids, right? You had 25 white kids in a classroom. 7 of them was filthy rich. You know what I'm saying? At the 10 of them was, upper middle class. You know what I'm saying? The junior varsity River Oaks. You know what I'm saying? And then what I said, 7 and 10, I guess let's just say that, and 8 of them was poor as shit from what I'm saying, from the hood. They live in our hoods and trailer parks. The white kids, the 7 rich kids is gonna run shit. Everything's gonna go down at the 7 rich kids' house. Everyone's gonna want to be like the 7 rich kids. We're the only ones where like, you know what I'm saying? Like we had this like obsession with we had this obsession with this culture that really like celebrates, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, remedial behavior. We celebrate ignorance. Listen to growing up, it pains me to say this, but growing up, you know what I'm saying, in the neighborhood where my neighborhood was like a family. So when I say bullying, I just mean like verbals, person might call you a nerd or something like that. But like, hey, look at you, white boy. So it's like, okay, why? What do you mean when you call me a white boy? I'm well behaved. I make good grades in school. I act in accordance to what I'm saying, the rules that are set before me by my parents. I treat people like I want to be treated. That's what you call a white boy. You don't call a motherfucking nigga that stole a bike and said it's his a white boy. You don't call. That's sick. That's sick. And that's
but
why
I think so,
they
so.
were
So
actually
look,
complimenting. You're actually yo. This is a compliment because you see whiteness as, look at the things you see as white. You see white as being well behaved, making good grades is white. But then if you see a white boy and you say what else, he a wigger, what does he have to be? An athlete or a white boy that has a heightened propensity for violence. No white boy was ever called or was ever invited to the barbecue because of his intellectual capabilities. And a white boy gets invited to our shit because he can dance, he's smashing a black chick, or you know what I'm saying, he can quote a couple Kendrick Lamar songs. That's
so we
crazy.
gotta ask ourselves, where does that come from? Because I think that's the layer I'm talking about. That's a layer above the gender dynamic discussion. That's a culturally specific. Those are culturally specific things to niggas. What you just
Yeah.
said, like, oh, he can dance. He's a wigger, or his value is based off his entertainment factor. Like those specific cultural issues that we need to ask ourselves, is it healthy? Because you're right, dude. Like when you talk about hip hop, when we talk about like, the whole, again, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. We ain't talking about marrying women. You got a whole generation of people that listen to hip hop. That's what they grew up on. Or money over bitches. Or get all the hoes and no intimacy, no yes, I aspire for marriage, no none of that. But see, I also said this before, I'm gonna say it again. People have heard me say it out there in TV land that Black people value the gangster pimp ideology, the gangster pimp look, the gangster pimp character, whatever the case. We value that as a higher form of masculinity. The athletes, the entertainers, that's a higher, or just value, even in women, than just regular old everyday people.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we need to put like man, being a man has to return to the top of the food chain. That's what that's my whole intent is saying like, ain't nothing above. It ain't nothing above the most gangster shit you could be is have a loving father rear you up and have a mother who conducts herself in a way to where you adore her and have an unyielding appreciation for. That's the most gangster shit you could be. And I'm gonna tell you this: people be thinking that, man, the hood's so tough, and the hood, yeah, the hood is tough. The hood is tough, when they around other people that grew up in similar conditions as them, but it wasn't as treacherous. So yeah, they're gonna beat up on people like that. But I'm gonna tell you this: if they not gonna beat up on that hood shit, don't outweigh that man with that father in his corner. The reason that Tyrese Halliburton caught that damn rebound under the goal, ran to the 3-point line and chucked that bitch up. His dad was in the crowd. The reason Floyd Mayweather, you know what I'm saying, when he caught that punch from Shane Mosley and he fell back and grabbed him and kept fighting right there, his dad was in the corner. It ain't nothing fucking with that, man. It ain't nothing. Like it ain't nothing, and it ain't even nothing to be glorified. Now, I will say this: the black man is such a magical and magnanimous creation that he has the ability to transmute pain into him becoming the very thing that he wanted to have. It's amazing. It doesn't get celebrated because we don't celebrate black men in American culture, especially collectively. But one of the most amazing things that I've seen is black men that have absentee fathers, fathers that just never showed up or never there. If they grow up in a situation where their mother can just get them through a higher education and they find gainful employment, they almost down to a man have a burning desire to be a great family man with no examples, just pain. I've seen more guys that grew up with absentee fathers be the hell of family men. It's amazing. I really think next to a man who grows up and a boy who grows up seeing all of the benefits of the institution of marriage and seeing the harmonious relationship and the synergy, next to that, second to him is the kid with no dad who somehow is able to will himself up, get through high school, get educated, and find gainful employment. Them motherfuckers make great husbands and great fathers, and they're fueled by fucking pain. LeBron don't have an example. You know what I'm saying? And women don't have to do that because you very rarely do you hear of a woman who had no woman to look at, who had no woman. Even if the moms wasn't perfect, that mom taught them how to, clean that house. You know what I'm saying? How to take care of their body. How this most women grew up with another woman showing teaching them about womanhood. I've seen men that grew up with no one there and just transmute pain into creating themselves great husbands. It's really some modern miracle that is never celebrated.
I mean, we also need to recognize that and accept the fact that men have to go through the there's a word I'm looking for, and I know you can help me find it. I don't want to say pledging. I
Go
don't
do
want to
say
say
what?
pledging. I don't want to
Uh,
say.
vicissitudes.
I would say this: you have to go through some rigorous form of training, pledging in life, whatever you want to call it, in manhood.
Yeah,
You have to go through a rite of passage. There
yeah,
has to be a rite of passage in all forms of life, in many forms of life, but especially when it comes to masculinity. So when you talk about the guy that didn't have any of the formal training, or he just had an absent dad and he just made it through that pain, he got better. For the men that want to get better, that's the result. And so we have to also accept that that's a part of manhood. That is a part of masculinity. It's not gonna always be easy. It's not gonna be soft. I think that's one thing that I don't like in the modern times is we expect, oh, men have to, be softer and be more tender, and we gotta be there for them. Like you talk about the mental health thing. Mental, listen, bro, life can be shitty. You gotta get through it. Do you want to sink or swim? I'm not trying to be insensitive here, because we've all had mental fogs. We've all, as men, you can't, the one thing that I think men do that we should change is we aren't transparent about what this man shit is really like. A lot of men just have this, oh, I'll never get sad. Oh, I never get, I never cry. I never, like, no, you're human, bro. But you get through that shit. We learn to get through whatever we're going through to get to where we gotta go, because it's survival of the fittest. You're gonna have ups and downs, but I think this whole I'm just so mentally fucked up I can't go on, and normalizing that amongst men I think is very dangerous.
Yeah, man, that's a real interesting one, man. Hey, bro, I just had to. I gotta stop for a minute, man, and just give myself some props, man, because you asked for a word, man. I pulled that vicissitudes out the air, man. I just had to look up the definition, man. Hey, bro, that vicissitudes, hey, a change of circumstances or fortune, typically one that is unwelcome or pleasant. Hey, man. Hey, bro, I got. Sometimes you got to give yourself props.
Hey,
We
hold
try
on.
to
So what's the word again?
vicissitudes,
Vicissitude.
like VISSI.
Oh, the vicissitude. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Hey man,
vicissitudes.
you're gonna have to put that in the you're gonna have to put that in the group chat or something. I'm gonna have to throw that in my little sermon. But if you could
Oh
read that
yeah, man.
definition again.
Oh, I'm about to copy it and paste it, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
See? Okay, yeah, I'm about to copy and paste it, man. But I got that I got that word from my favorite book, my grandmother's favorite book too. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And
Mm.
it's a great read, man, and a great read for like a young man too. I mean, you can read the whole book in probably an hour. It's only about 40 pages, but it's one of the great. If you had to, if you had to, really put must read. I try to read that book every day. Um, like just a chapter of it or something, man. And I read today, a noble or godlike character is not a thing by chance, but by the aspirations and godlike thoughts, which led to another thing. Okay, well, in order to have godlike thoughts, then I need to know God and then know the Word of God and know how. So it's like it's a book that, man, you can read that book 100 times and get challenged 100 ways. And he's not imposing his will or belief. He's just kind of sharing some thoughts. But yeah, but not like and I feel what you're saying, man. I'm kind of, I mean, I tapped out of the mental health commentary, and man, Raquel, the capacity expert, is in town. Man, I'm about to send her the most passionate email I could ever send her, man, to see if I could squeeze in an interview with her before she leaves. I may go to her event tomorrow, man, because everything she's saying, everything that she is saying is something that I have said before. I just didn't have, the graceful delivery, nor the, coming from a place
Wait,
that
now who is this
practiced it.
again?
Have you seen this black woman who been just kind of on the tear with the mental health?
Yeah, she been kind of like breaking. Is she gonna be
Yeah,
here?
she gonna be here tomorrow. I'm about to send her the most. I'm world class with these cold emails. I'm about to whip up. I'm about to whip up the best work I could find, man. And try to see if I could catch up with her. But the one thing I will say, because I had this exchange with this sister in the comments, I mean in the messages, and really she took like what I had said about like men, why is, my other favorite word, why is the axiomatic men's meetup basically a place, a safe space for trauma pain. Not to say that's not needed, but why is it limited to just that? Like, why are there no, when I'm at like Sweet Lips or something, and I see them Omegas in there, they just fellowshipping. They're not in there, they just enjoying the camaraderie of what's going on. Or like, why can't we celebrate, saying wins or progress? Or, we used to have like, this is almost dead. But I remember back when I was like in my 20s, and a lot of us were first coming being exposed to like really Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich, and we was really tapped in. We was trying to do masterminds. We were trying to have talks where we all talked about what we were working on. There's a collective enthusiasm. Like, and that's one. I think that's one kind of mutation or side effect that's come from the mental health narrative. It's zapped all of the enthusiasm away. We don't have masterminds no more. We don't have any meetups where we're talking about, networking anymore. Like, everything is just pain and trauma. But, when I said what I said, about that, and then I made a video and I was like, hey, you was in therapy this time last year. You was healing this time the year before that. You was unpacking the year before that. You was you know what I'm saying? You was protecting your peace and staying away from fan the year before that. Like, at some point, like at some point the healing has to become over. The process. For my study is you go from the healing process is healing, then you go to awareness. Now awareness is now you understand it. Okay, then from awareness is the overcoming of the thing that's limiting you or whatever way. Then from overcoming, you actually live as the healed person. That's the healing process. You know what I'm saying? This comes from psychotherapists. I'm not making this up, but like I don't know, maybe like when I'm passionate about something, maybe it just comes out super like direct or whatever. But the pushback, I was like, wow, man, like, but anything that encourages men to, rally or tap into self-reliance, the Ralph Waldo Emerson essay style, it gets this massive pushback. But I did have to tell the
I think
sister.
you just kind of pointed out though one of the things I was talking about, the accountability factor. It's like, okay, we're having issues with accountability. If God's going to Adam for accountability, and He knows He can handle accountability, one might assume that Eve couldn't. So, a lot of women, the issue with even accountability, self accountability, is now I'm putting the responsibility on me to actually make the change. I have to now criticize myself to a degree. I have to be uncomfortable. I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's where I'm going to find change. It's not to say that they don't have the ability to do this. They do. They have the ability to do this, but many of them will resort to being comfortable instead of being uncomfortable for a change. That's the whole idea behind, oh, I just need a rich man so I ain't gotta work and pay no bills. What? Like that's it? Because guess what? Real marriage takes work. There's a level of
Yeah,
self-work that you must do to be able to be in a relationship. So like you said, why are you getting this massive pushback from them? Because I think the way they conceptualize that is, uh that's a little bit harsh, or why can't we just have this communal aspect, or it's okay for me to not feel good, it's okay for me to not do something that I don't want to do. That's where I'm gonna be better there. And it's like, well, no, you're actually not. You're not. You actually,
yeah.
that's how cycles are repeated.
Yeah, I remember with my late grandmother who died last year. I remember when she was getting kind of sick, and one day I came to the house, and I stopped by my mother, and I seen she was sleeping in the middle of the day, and I was like, ah, that's weird, because my mom, I've never seen my mom's room dirty. I've never seen any part of any house that she lived in disorder outside of the room I was in. Like never. And I never seen her sleep during the day. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like my mom has really just excellent habits, as far as just day-to-day upkeep of things. But I seen her sleep, I was like, you all right? She said, yeah. Then I came back the next day, she was up running errands, everything. She like, yeah, there's a lot on my mind with mama, but I couldn't just lay there. You know what I'm saying? I gotta live. So I just had to get up and keep going. Now that is that you juxtapose her, conclusion that she came to versus today, what are you told to do? Take all the time you need, you know. Nah, like it's about you. You have to take care of you before you take care of anybody else. And the reason why, what I did tell the sister I had this exchange with, one thing I did have to concede to her, because my allegiance is to the truth, is that when I really sat back and I reflected, I'm really big on operating within my purpose. Even if God put something on my spirit that I don't want to do, like dad issues, I didn't want to do that at all. But yeah, my spirit wouldn't stop, going back to it. God never really called me to speak on, or do this pushback in regards to mental health. What that was really fueled by was the fact that, you know, when I suffered the darkest times of my life, there was vulnerability and being hurt and things like that. It did nothing for me. If anything, it alerted people that, in certain ways I was compromised, and made me even more susceptible to being taken advantage of. So I'll tell you, man, just a quick story, man. I had my god brother, went to college together, everything like that. We didn't probably live together half our adult lives. His dad is my dad's best friend. His dad's my godfather, my Dad's his godfather. Detroit is kind of different because families be so deep out there. Like you have whole families that are friends with each other. It's like, you know what I'm saying? The Williams will be friends with the Mayberries, and that'll be like, 20 people all together, right? So that's how his family is, the Jeffersons, everything. Anyway, he called me like, hey man, I'll be in town. Can I crash with you? We didn't live together half our life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, all right, cool, man, no problem. I didn't know he had left rehab early, right? So my family basically is taking turn. First, my godfather, his dad called, man, you got him staying with you, man. He steals, he touches things. I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I didn't know he had an opiate issue. Like, last time I seen him, he was fine. So now after that, my dad called, you got a junkie staying with you, this, that. Then after that, it's like my family is running train, just passing the phone, taking turns calling, telling me how big of an idiot I am, And then they're saying that my god brother, I'm some dummy who got a junkie stain. I've never known him to be this. I just known him to be, this person who done got me half of my jobs. Anyway, he's not stupid. He hears all this. He said, hey, Rob, no worries, man. I got somewhere else I can stay. I said, man, you sure, man? He said, like, yeah, no worries. Now I remember I was going, I was like, man, on the way there, I was like, hey, man, I could lie. I could just say this is my spot. Nigga. I pay down $2,000 a month over here, man. I tell them shit. I say you left. Shit. They don't come over. He said, no, I'm good. So before he got out of the car, I said, bro, you sure? He said, yeah, man, I'm sure, man. Bro, last time I seen him alive, he died of a fentanyl overdose. Now, same dad, right, who was calling me, saying I got a junkie living with me, all this, that, and the other, same fan. You know how they told me he died? Send me a text at 4 in the morning. No, you know what I'm saying? No, hey, sorry for your loss, this, that, and the other, man. You all right, this, that. Didn't even make plans with me to get to Detroit to go to the funeral. That's like a hardcore psychological game you playing with, you know what I'm saying, that someone's supposed to be like a loved one, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, things like, hey, the guy is a brother who I brought on the Gentleman's History Hour because, I mean, whether I like him personally or not, I can't take away his brilliance. When I met this brother, the ceiling of what I believe I was capable of, it rose. I didn't know that a regular person could do research at that. I thought you had to have a PhD to research the way he researched, man. This dude, this dude got a vocabulary, man, and man, he make Michael Eric Dyson sound like fat Gucci man, when he was on the drink and everything with the pot belly. Anyway, I brought him on the platform, you know what I'm saying, to talk about the Moors and the things he was interested in. I was really going through it, man, because I felt like I had blood on my hands. I bought into that whole, man, hey, I'm gonna just take a mental wellness drug. Hey, he tried to strong arm, and take my spot on the on the show that I co-founded. And you know what I'm saying? Hey, I understand now, I forgive brothers, we made things, but you know what I'm saying? Guys kind of let them. You know what I'm saying? So I seen what happened when you compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. And then I remember, I'll never forget that Moses, brother Sweetler, he said, hey man, too many people know your weaknesses. And he was right. He was right, man, because I'm walking around here thinking we all in good faith and talking about, man, nigga don't need to know this shit. And man, hey man, look, would you talk to somebody about an STD? Would you talk to somebody, hey man, I'm just doing this so other people who got gonorrhea can know that, hey, it can be all right. No, you'll keep that shit to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or you would give that information on a need to know basis. So I got a lot of anger towards this whole vulnerability, openness thing, because I've seen what happens to a man that's compromised. And hey, be suffering from depression, that's cool. Be suffering from depression and let your half of the rent, not be there. You see how quick and how quick people stop caring about your vulnerability. I got a childhood friend, man. He played in MLB. He made over $50 million. I was reselling, kicking ass. He gave me a microloan, $5,000, which I appreciate him for, and I did have a game plan in place to get his funds back to him. Hey, my god brother died, whatever, this, that, this. Hey, nigga wanted his 5 racks back. This a $50 million nigga. This is my childhood friend. This nigga walked out when he played in the league. When he walked out the bat, they played a song. I made it about him. Around the hood, they ain't like dude. Even gave him names like white dude. Maybe because he went to the white school. or maybe because Michael isn't his idol. He doesn't want to be a rapper in a video. Nah, he wants to be the Black Craig Biggio, so he dedicates his life to ball. Winter, summer, spring, fall. He's only 10, but he's chasing his dream. One day making a traveling team at Westbury Little League and literally try to take it down to Williamsport and make history. And after that, man, he wants to start at Kyle Chat, man. And hopefully, if he does good enough there, he'll get noticed by one of the coaches at Bel Air. It's clear. Nigga walked out to my song about, man, hey, granted, does that mean that I get to take a $5,000 loan and not pay him back? No, it doesn't. You know what I'm
What you
saying?
talking about, Robbie Tolan, nigga?
What you say?
That's he talking about Robbie Tolan? I'm trying to think of like a
Robbie Tolan ain't never touched the league, man. He play. I'm talking about this. This is my guy, man. I'm not gonna put him out there like that because we got
okay.
things that we need to work out. But I like your no name policy, man.
Get
It
a
makes
Vlad
things a lot.
TV.
Yeah, your no name policy was one of the great additions. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I get to going but yeah, but not great guy, man. A great brother. Don't get me wrong, man. He earned that money. You know what I'm saying? He played. I traveled the country watching him play. I done been to the Brave Stadium, Oakland Stadium, Atlanta Stadium. Man, it's one of my best friends. When I was at his birthday party, his mom was just told, who in here has been knowing him the long? It was like we childhood friends. So, at the end of the day, man, that brother wanted his 5 racks back. You know what I'm saying? At 50 million or not, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't a situation where, if it would have been a situation where it was like, hey, Rob, man, you my nigga, bro. You sorry as hell at managing this shit. Hey, bro, until you make this right, bro, we friends. Ain't no more investing, bro. Or you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Hey, don't you do websites? I'm gonna need 5 websites. If it would have been like something like that, I could have understood it, man. Or if it would have been like, hey, bro, I love you. Hey, bro, business wise though, we gotta leave that behind. We just gotta be friends. I would have understood it. He made it out like I was actually a bad person. Like I stole, you know what I'm saying? Like I came up with some type of scheme. And I was like, wow, damn, this is my childhood friend. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I seen a different side of people when you in that vulnerability shit. Ain't nobody give a fuck about, you know what I'm saying, my guy dying. Ain't nobody give a fuck about, you know what I'm saying, whatever, me having pneumonia, damn near dying because I thought it was COVID. And you know what I'm saying? Hey, nigga, motherfucker came smash me in the back of my car driving and shit. Man, I got home, my girl asked who was a therapist too. What's for dinner? I ain't never lived in a world where being vulnerable, or where somebody where care about this is what I concluded, and hey, it may be, pain and anger behind my belief, but this is my belief from what I've experienced. People care about what's going on to you up to the point where it requires them to sacrifice something or admit co-conspiratorship in a problem. Then it's like fuck your vulnerability, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like that. So, you know, and I seen those different type of things, and I was like, wow. I got smashed by this drunk driver, right? Motherfucker hit me, right? Send me to the ER. I got wheeled into the ER next to the guy who hit me. Police report clearly says this guy with no license or no thing hit my shit, damn near killed me, right? Man, I don't know. I think he was an undocumented immigrant or something, right? I got a fucking lien from Memorial Hospital. They have a lien on me. Motherfucker smashed my shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker smashed, damn near killed me, nigga. I got strolled in the ER with the motherfucker there, man. I thought he was dead. Motherfucker was so fucking wasted. Then we in the ER and then our stretchers next to each other. They fucking come hit him with something. He starts shitting on himself. Then it's like, okay, well, I guess he's fine. It ain't a fucking nickel for a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Now, hey, does my family owe me anything because of an accident? No, they don't. They don't owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I should have been a better steward, with my savings and everything, or maybe I should have had full coverage or anything like that. But at the same time, you know, spend a couple $1,000 going to someone's wedding, just what I'm saying, the year before. You know what I'm saying? I seen I seen my grandmother distribute $100,000 at Christmas before. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, wow, I almost got in a fatal accident when I was 21, right? When I was 21, I was in my dad's truck, and the clutch went out. So I called my dad and he said, hey, I'm on the way. Normally when my dad give me an instruction, I listen. That's one thing about me. Might have had our civil war, but my dad has never put me in a bad position. So I'm waiting on my dad, man. All of a sudden, man, I'm like, damn, this last car kind of got close. Like these cars are coming hitting it at the last minute. And for optically, a car that's not moving on a freeway, it the way the eye sees that is very tricky. You don't realize the car is not moving till real close. So finally, man, like one car swerved, bruh. This shit may sound crazy, but it felt like a fucking star came out of the sky and hit me in the chest. It said, "Get out." Man, I started looking around. I'm trying to look around. I crawl over the passenger side and get out that side and dip to the side of the freeway. Man, I get to the side of the freeway, turn around, 18-wheeler, hit that bitch. Fucking shit looked like a suicide bomber. Shit just exploded, right? Now, I'm 21 then, right? Motherfuckers calling like I actually died. Crying, this, that, and the other, all this other shit. I'm 40 when I got hit by the drunk driver almost killed me. Okay, glad you all right, man. So I seen like you know what I'm saying? I'm not lying when I say that, hey man, this shit ain't been there for me. You know, maybe other niggas, maybe that vulnerability shit helped them out. It ain't helped me out. You know what I'm saying? Self-reliance helped me out.
Wait. Hold on, dog. We not just gonna move past this fucking story. An 18-wheeler, you got out of the truck, and the 18-wheeler actually hit that hoe.
Yeah, man, that motherfucker looked like a suicide bomber.
Did
That
y'all
shit
get?
just
Did you get in trouble for that?
nah, he was in the wrong. The car was in the middle of the freeway. The clutch went out. So the car had stalled out. The 18-wheeler was driving. Now that I talked to truck drivers are taught, you know, if you coming on to something, just hit it. Cause it's better to hit it than for you to swerve. Because you swerve, you know, the truck's gonna tip over. So man, he hit that shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit fucking exploded, nigga. You know, so but I had got out and ran to the side, looked back, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, when that star came and told me get out, I just, man, like there's certain moments where I just, you know what I'm saying, I just listened to my whatever it said. But that shit literally felt like a star from the sky came, hit me in the chest and said, get out. Like I heard that shit. So, you know, but just the difference, see, the thing about black men, we are loved, right? We love like a motherfucker. Like, you know the saying, hey man, we raise our daughters, we love our sons. That's true. However, our love is attached to unrealized potential. And the older you get and the less unrealizing of the potential, it seems like there's a little bit of an inverse, you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of an inverse thing that happens, you know, because when you're young, you know what I'm saying, when you're 9 and you play the drums, who knows, you know what I'm saying? You play the guitar at 9, you might be the next Jimi Hendrix. You know what I'm saying? You didn't, hey, you know, you came home from a DUI, you know, you failed out of TSU and you working at the post office, you know, man, stop playing that fucking shit all loud. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Hey, when you come out the womb, when you two, you know what I'm saying? Hey, he changed my life, so and so. Keep that energy when that nigga 35.
I mean, shit, we getting old, bro. At the end of the day, you know how we all treat older people. That's the truth.
Yeah,
I think as people get to the elderly, you know, we typically want to put them off on someone. So, you know,
yeah.
that's a very good point. But hey, we finna get out of here, man.
Hey, well, hold on. Let me just close with one thing though, man.
Go ahead.
What I what I had to do in that situation for my own sanity, I had to release all victimhood. I had to say, you know what? I release all forms of victimhood. I'm not even mad at the person who hit me, whatever, because hey, at the end of the day, it was an experience that was a part of my process. I don't have no anger toward nobody. Yeah, you know, far as my dad, you know, I don't know why that, you know, he handles certain things that he is, but if I try to handle if I try to have a relationship like a linear relationship with my dad, it's always one step away from us not seeing eye to eye. So I'm just gonna be an unconditional son. I'm just gonna. I'm not even. I don't even need nothing for the. I had to go there with my mind. So, when a motherfucker start telling me about, sitting and being quiet and shit, I don't know, man. Maybe in your life, but I'm not qualified to God ain't called me to speak on that, man. So all I can tell is my story. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, if tears healing you, then shit, fuck with the tears, but shit, nigga, bootstraps healed me.
See, around here, we can correct you, and that's how we protect you. Y'all see that shirt on the screen? Y'all need to go hit the trauma hour and go get that shirt. It's a great saying. I see that y'all fucking with the shirt. Hit the like button. Y'all know why y'all need to do that. Because, hey, we want other people involved in this conversation where we have controversial statements being had and uncomfortable conversations being had. Hey, we love y'all. Peace. Good night.
Yeah.
Oh, Chanka.